Hello, this is Top Prep Sports Interviews by Sunil Sundaraj. Today, I'm happy to be speaking with Troy Cagle, owner of 1% Hoops. Troy, once again, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with me. Congratulations on your success. You keep on building, and it's great to talk to you off the air. And yeah, it's just your story, man, is so inspirational and uplifting, and I'm just really grateful to again be able to speak with you this morning.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to have me.
Wow. I mean, it's just incredible where you started, and now you are here, the owner of 1% Hoops. Let's let everybody know what I said your background story was. Starting out at a Division II school at Young Harris College, started as a walk-on, ended up starting mid-season, ranked in the top 25 statistically, and 3% shooting at D2. Man, I mean, when you talk about like your basketball, career, but to start it off in that fashion, can you describe that, Troy?
Yeah, so the way it kind of happened was I was on that D1 or bus culture when I was younger, man. That's what we were preached
Hmm.
to from everybody because they didn't fully understand the game or where to go and how to
Yeah.
get there. So I was late in the game my senior year, not really anything other than a couple of D3s. And at that time I didn't that's not what I wanted. I wanted that D1 or bus. So in the
Yeah.
midsummer of my senior season, I got an offer from Young Harris College. They wanted me to come play for their JV team. I came. I played for however 3 months until the Christmas break. Ended up taking a starting spot from somebody, and then thereafter it was nothing but fun, man. We started winning a lot, and it was really fun. We played a very fast paced game.
Yeah, that's terrific, Troy. But just talk about, I mean, to be that had to be like, so rewarding you to be ranked in the top 25, 3% shooting. Just talking in terms of your game and like, be able to, hit it from behind the arc and again, just really be able to perfect your craft.
Oh yeah, so I'm not a astounding 6'8", 6'9" guy. I'm 6'1" when I'm kind of
Yeah.
stretching it a little bit. So I had to really get good at not turning the ball over and hitting shots. My
Yeah.
job on that team was to hit shots and don't turn it over. And so every day our regimen was we had to hit 500 a day,
Wow.
400 from behind the arc, and then 100 from the free throw line. We were number one in
Hmm.
the country in 3-point makes, and the system really fit me perfectly. We were number one in 3-point makes. We were number three in the country in scoring at 98 something a game. Um, we averaged probably close to the most turnovers a game for a team, but we also forced the same amount. So it kind of
Yeah.
played hand in hand. We played really fast, and every day, man. If we didn't make our shots, we didn't practice. So it was a mandatory. There was no outs. You had to go in there. The coaches were out there watching while you got shots up and things like that. So everything was mandatory there. It really set my work ethic into place.
I was just about to say that work ethic structure, really to have that regimen in place, again, it must have been, just awesome, just to be a part of that. And then, of course, spent 1 year NAIA at Oklahoma City University. And I
Mhm.
know that was a tough part of your career because you got hurt during, mid-season, didn't come back, as said, from the injury, and then forced to transfer. The coach was relieved of his position. Man, lots of turmoil, very tumultuous times. I mean, just talk about, that experience, Troy.
Yeah, that place is actually what ended my college basketball career. I
Mm.
messed up my thumb real bad early in the
Okay.
season. I tore a bunch of ligaments in the pad of my hand right here, so I
Oh,
couldn't
wow.
shoot. It was in my
Okay.
shooting hand, so I couldn't do anything like
Mm.
that. Um,
Okay.
Kind of throughout the season, I'm not sure on the 100% details, but midway through,
Yeah.
the coach was relieved. I got asked to
Okay.
come back because I was going to transfer anyways at
Hmm.
midseason because I hadn't played a game yet, so it wouldn't have affected me.
Yeah.
Got asked to come back. The new coaches I didn't fit their view of what the team should look like. Didn't really play. Wasn't really fully recovered from the injury, anyways. Played 5 games. Then COVID hit and everything like that. So it was fairly
Yeah.
recent, and that just kind
Yeah.
of ended my college career in basketball and stuff like that. And then I started working on this as my back end project.
Must have been, I mean, just, bitter pill to swallow because, like, of all the hard work you put in, all the years that you've been playing this game, for it to end on that note, just must have been very difficult, Troy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, it was kind of a relief, man, because I
Yeah.
was always it was always a huge level of pressure on my back, and I found that
Hmm.
playing basketball wasn't necessarily as much of a passion for me as helping people play basketball
Yeah.
at the level they want
Yeah.
to, especially experiencing everything the way I did. and really educating high school athletes on what they should be doing. A lot of our calls consist of what level do you realistically want to play at, and
Hmm.
I've heard D1 more than any other any other
Yeah,
division, and I kind of tell them, low major D1s, high major D2s. The high major D2s a lot of times are better, man. So it's just
that's
about
right.
educating the youth.
I agree 100% with that. I mean, I went to D3 school, and I feel, the competition, even at D2, D3, is just as competitive, just as good as, the D1 schools. And
Hmm.
you've seen a lot of players, even from D2, D3, make it into, of course, go on to play college ball professionally as well, whether in NBA, G League, overseas as well. So, I mean, it just,
Hmm.
again, it's just outstanding to see. Hey, again, you played the game for a long time. I'm wondering, from your perspective, Troy, what were some of the intangibles of the game that made it, like, truly special to play? I'm just wondering, for you.
So honestly, the only reason I made the team and even got on the court
Yeah.
was because I was the loudest person on the court. I
Okay.
made shots consistently and I didn't turn over the ball, man. So my
Yeah.
biggest thing was the coach loved me because I was consistent. He's going to get the same thing
Yeah.
every night. It's not going to be where, sometimes I'm not going 100%. If I knew if I didn't dive on the floor, I didn't come out. So my biggest thing and that, the intangibles of the game, like you were saying, that made it so
Yeah.
special for me was the fact that the game doesn't love you, but it'll respect you if you respect it back. So that was my
Yeah.
biggest thing. If you work, it'll work for you.
Exactly, and just working on those fundamentals and skills. And I think, people tend to forget it's really 24/7, 365. You really
Hmm.
don't work at it every single day. You lose those skills, and, like, you lose that time, and you can see how it'll affect you, down the road. And I always ask the athletes about this, and I think this is so critical. Like, in terms of not only just you have the team activities, but then you on your own individual basis in terms of strength and conditioning, nutrition,
Hmm.
rest and recovery, mental health, because everybody touched on the physical part of the game. But I think people, now they're starting to, again, pay attention to the mental part, because I think if you don't have that, once you take the court and you're in the flow of the game, you're toast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think your mental is probably more important than your actual game because if you're thinking about something other than basketball while you're on the court, you're not going to play well. A lot of the
Yeah.
issues kids have nowadays is they see the Kobe Bryant stories and things like that, where they're in there
Hmm.
all day, every day. You can get burnt out really fast. If that's not for
Yeah.
you, that's not for you. It'll burn you out. And if you're burnt out, you're not going to play well because mentally
Yeah.
being tired is going to make you physically tired. That's exactly how
Yeah.
it's going to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm wondering, Troy, when you were growing up, and then, playing college ball, what players you paid particular close attention to, and sort of tried to, maybe pick up, any nuggets, any tendencies, from those players, and apply it to your game.
Yeah, man. Oddly enough, Stephen Curry's the whole reason I started playing basketball.
Yeah.
I could shoot the ball. I always wanted to shoot the ball. I started watching him. I was definitely one of those kids that he ruined the game. He shoots all the time. That was me. I was shooting the
Yeah.
ball, man, off the dribble, spot up. So him, Kobe Bryant obviously was just a big thing. Like I spoke on a second ago, the work ethic. I
Yeah.
didn't quite have
Yeah.
his level of work ethic because I would have been one of those guys that got burnt out. I
Yeah.
can't stay 10 hours in the gym a day. I just wouldn't be able to work. And then in college with school and everything, that makes it hard as well. But
Yeah.
Steph Curry, him. I'm a big MJ fan, man. The MJ LeBron debate's my favorite. I'm a
Yeah.
big MJ fan. So those three guys are probably the biggest for me.
That's wonderful. That's great. Before we came over there, talk about being, the student athlete, and now it's just like so much, pressure now, especially, with social media. You have all those mitigating factors out there, but this is important. I mean, like, that the fact that the kids realize also that, your studies also, play, again, an essential role. That just, it, again, it's really critical, and just in terms of developing an all-around person, or being an all-around person. Just
Mhm.
talk about that as well. That even your experiences when you were in college as well, Troy.
Yeah, yeah. So I was blessed to have a good GPA going into college. I already took some credits and things like that. And what people don't understand is we're not telling you to have good grades because you have to have a
Hmm.
4.0. We're telling you
Hmm.
have to have good grades because A, it'll take a lot of that pressure off. Your mentality will be better if you don't have to worry about class.
Yeah.
B, if you don't have good grades, you don't play. I said it in the Parks to Pros podcast. There's not a 5 foot point guard in the country I can help. There's also not a 7 footer with a 1.0 GPA I can help. So,
Hmm.
there's that good mixture of talent and ability to stay on top of your classes. Nobody expects you to have a 4.0 being a student athlete. That's extremely hard. They do expect you to have decent grades to where you're focused on your class as well as your sport. Some people can do it, some people can't. It's a lot, but just maintaining
Hmm.
those good grades is definitely a big part. And into high school, going into your college life, that'll play a big role too. If you have those good grades, now you don't have to worry about money. So if you don't,
Yeah.
scholarships stack, so you can have academic and athletic scholarships, which people don't
Hmm.
understand that either. A
Hmm.
lot of times they don't know that. So if you can have the academic, you don't necessarily need a full ride to go to school.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I always stress to that. I mean, time management organization, if you can strike that balance out, because there's so much that goes into it with, team activities. I mean, you got the practices, lifts, watching film, games itself. I mean, that there's just a lot that, is a lot of responsibilities that are placed on the athlete's shoulders. But if you can, again, be able to find that right space, that right time,
Mhm.
you obviously are going to be very successful in college and then beyond as well. Hey, as you know, you need a good structure, family, and yours is definitely again a very riveting story. Raised by your mother, as said, worked 12-hour shifts to help you and your two sisters out. Your mother again helped you, in terms of with athletics and financially, and really pushed you, to pursue your passion for basketball and to start 1% Hoots. Just wanted to ask you about just that support, from your mom, from your two sisters, during this journey here, Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad passed away when I was 12. So then my mom
Okay.
had to kind of raise us from there. She
Hmm.
worked long hours because going from my dad was making a lot of the financials and stuff like that happen. And then she had to pick up that job and pick up that slack. So,
Yeah.
she was working these 12-hour shifts. We're talking Monday through Sunday, every day she's working and things like
Hmm.
that. And when she's not working, she's got to sleep because not only that, she was on third shift all the time. So she was working
Hmm.
overnight. So her presence was more in making sure everybody had food on the table and making sure everybody was doing the right things. And my sisters were taking me to practice and things like that. And so from there, she just really her job and our whole situation was just to motivate me and keep me going and pushing because she knew what I could do in basketball and things like that, and then she also knew what I wanted to do in terms of my business once I started it. So her job it's leveled out a little bit since then. So she's
Yeah.
good now. She doesn't have to work the 12-hour shifts all the time, but she really pushed me to start 1% hoops. When I started it, I had a lot of doubts because it started very slow, as every business
Yeah.
does. Not many athletes want to work with you because you're the new kid on the block and things like that. You
Hmm.
haven't really shown what you can do. But she just kept me going through that. She even funded me a couple times, helping me out with money and stuff like that to keep it
Yeah.
rolling. So
Yeah.
she's a good woman. She kept me going and things like that. If it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't be in the spot I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful to hear. Those are the type of stories you definitely need to hear about it. I love this story of how how you broke into the business, man. You're sitting on your friend's couch. You came up with the idea of 1% Hoots, and you said started helping out with individual kids, but now here into a worldwide platform. That's good. Again, it's got to really feel good, that again. From where it started and now, like to reach this point, to talk about that, Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it happened was I got back from Oklahoma. Hands still wrapped up, sitting on my buddy's couch, and I just had the
Yeah.
idea. COVID hit, nobody's getting offers because they can't get seen. So
Yeah.
at first, I was taking over the entire athletes, recruiting process. I was handling it for them.
Hmm.
Wasn't really finding success with that. So then I developed the system I use now that uses a software, a database of coaches that I created, and email templates
Yeah.
and things like that. It's a whole system we put together. Plus, obviously, Kevin, he does a real
Yeah.
big job for us on Twitter and things like that.
Yeah.
But sitting on the couch, man, I was like, I got to do something because I can't go work right now because my hands jacked up. I gotta start typing on the computer, figuring something out. And I just started brainstorming.
Yeah.
Sat in the room for 7 days straight, just brainstorming what I could do. Ended up coming up with the idea. The logo's changed a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's about the only thing that's changed, man. It really worked out for me in the long run.
Yeah, that's all I want to. And before, yeah, Kevin Moses, Parks and Pros. I mean, the fact that everybody's collaborating here is before we came on there, I was talking with you about it that everybody wants to help out the athletes, but just talk about I said especially Kevin Moses. I mean, just a great guy. Just I mean, just what he does in terms of evaluating I said the basketball athletes, their skills, and we talk about highlight videos, posting their stuff on social media, Twitter especially. I mean, there's a lot, but just talk about that. I mean, how influential these guys, especially Kevin, is.
Yeah, so everybody has their own role they play. Some are less than others, some are more than others.
Yeah,
Kevin specifically, you see all these write-ups from camps and things like that.
yeah,
I think Kevin takes the cake every time. He really
yeah.
he does a really good job of painting pictures of kids and things like that. And he likes to get to know the family as well. He likes to know
Hmm.
so he can advertise you not only as an athlete but as a person. That's what we tell our guys
Yeah,
all the time. Also, he's really good. He stays connected with me. He stays connected with everybody in the community that we've built over time. Whether it's just touching base, seeing how you're doing, or touching base on business aspect and keeping things rolling and helping the kids. I
yeah,
mean, he's bought kids laptops before who needed them. I mean, he's a great guy. Right now, he's on like
yeah.
the southeast shore that I like to say.
Mm.
All the kids that are in our system that work with me and Kevin, he's driving to their games right now. So he was just in Florida yesterday. So yeah,
Yeah.
he really takes it to another level.
Yeah, I think again, that's so important that the family, get to know the community. It goes beyond the athlete. I think a lot of people forget that that's what it's about. That you need to invest in that as well, Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't understand, but coaches really look at not only the athlete but how their parents act in like the stands and things like that, and that also
Yeah.
plays a huge role in the recruiting process because when you join their family, your family joins their family. So
Hmm.
it's one big group, and they don't want to have to hear from mom or dad calling, yelling at the coach because
Yeah.
their son wasn't getting good playing time. They want
Yeah.
another intricate piece of the puzzle to go in with them, and that puzzle is part of the family as well.
Yeah, no, that is that great points you make. And you talked about the scholarships, and I like this that the fact that you're really like in terms of helping the athletes out in terms of the email you talked about the email templates that for athletes to use, incorporating the software, the technology. It's really again trying to boost these athletes and help them out along the process. Talk about how again just being able to really tap into that as well, Troy.
Yeah, so the way it works is it's a three-part system. It's got a database of coaches. By the end of this month, I'm hoping to have it over 3,000 coaches.
Hmm.
Then it's going to go into the second piece, which is the email templates, and the software pulls it all together. It pulls the information from the database, plugs the email templates in for you, has clear spots that I've made for you to plug your own information in. And the
Yeah.
way the software works is it individualizes all the emails. It allows you to send mass emails, but it individualizes all of them. So if I sent 50 emails right now, all 50 emails would have a different coach's name and a different school name that it pulled from that database paired with their email address. So it's a whole big intricate system that also pairs over with Twitter. We give them a structure to what they need to post. They can copy it into their Google Docs and just copy and paste it every day to their Twitter. So it's getting out there. Me,
Yeah.
Kevin, and all the guys, obviously, we retweet it and keep posting it and stuff like that. So the whole idea was, like I told you before, we averaged 98 points a game. We played fast. We attacked. That's kind of the
Yeah.
idea and the model of how I created everything. I would rather have 100 options that I had to sift through than have three and not know if I wanted all three of them. So it's really
Yeah.
attack and get as many options as you possibly can the most effective and efficient way possible.
Yeah. No, that's again that's sound advice, and it's great to hear. Hey, what are you like? In terms of social media, for these athletes, and I always stress them whether here, of course, in my own town where I cover the local high school, and then elsewhere, is to be very aware of what you post on social media. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that gets lost that because there are prospective colleges, there are coaches, there are recruiters, scouts, everybody viewing that. So I'm wondering, like, in terms of like, advising the athletes on that to really watch out on whatever social media platform it is, to really be cognizant of the fact of what I said you're going to put on there, because that leaves a digital footprint as well, Troy.
yeah, absolutely. So we touched on this also in Parks to Pros, and he had a very good
Yeah.
example of somebody and there were guns in the background and stuff like that at a prom
Mm,
picture. It wasn't even her, but the coaches
yeah.
also pulled it off because they don't want to bring that energy into their school. Not only
Yeah.
that, you never know who's watching. All it takes is one yes, especially if you're one of those kids who doesn't have an offer yet and you're looking for that one yes. If it happens
Yeah.
to be a Christian school that's looking at your timeline and they see you, swearing or saying crazy things, they may not offer you or they may pull your offer just for that. So you have to be
Hmm.
aware. Not all coaches are big on that in terms of profanity and stuff like that, but most of them are, especially the Christian schools. So I would just be super aware of what you're putting on social media and how you're talking and presenting yourself, because it may be somewhat unfair, but coaches want you to be like you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Even though you haven't, you probably just started, but they want to bring in a professional athlete into their ranks, not, some high school kid who's just posting all kinds of crazy stuff on social media. They want you to grow up fast. It's unfair, but it's true. And you
Yeah.
really have to.
No, it's true. That is true. Hey, well, I'm wondering, what would your message be out there, to those athletes, those younger kids, especially that are trying to find their way, said, and whether they're in playing basketball or any other sport, just what would you say to them? Because I know, you have a lot of knowledge to drop and, just advice, to offer to them, Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of just playing sports, I think focusing on your craft is obviously number one. If you can't play, you won't play. That's how it is.
Mhm.
That's how it has always been. It's a very unfair and competitive atmosphere sports are.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, making sure you're focusing on your craft. Recruiting, people think they have all the time in the world, but you never know the one that yes, you may have gotten just recruited their guy. So I say
Hmm.
start as early as possible. Not necessarily. I'm not saying if you're in seventh grade you got to start emailing coaches, but you at least got to start learning the process.
Yeah.
We like to tell people junior year, you want to go ahead and have some interest by midway through your junior year. That'll lead into your senior year because if someone's giving you $20,000, they would probably give it to the person they've been talking to for a year and a half over the person they met yesterday. So
Hmm.
freshman, sophomore year, that's when you're learning the process, really getting it started. Junior year is when you're going to start pushing your name out there, and senior year, you better have an influx of offers in if you want to play at that next level because they are not permanent and they're not guaranteed until you sign. So you want to have
Yeah.
a few options going into your senior year.
That's true. That's true. So, before you get the final word here, Troy, I was wondering when you were growing up, it popped into my head. I should ask you in the beginning,
Yeah.
when you're growing up, what sports you played, and then when you made that pivot towards basketball. I was just curious about that.
Yeah, man. I did not like football, man. I didn't like. I like when I get hit really hard. I get to
Yeah.
shoot after that. So I didn't really. I played football for a year. It was fun. It was more of a thing I did with my friends. That was in eighth grade. It wasn't too far in.
Yeah.
I played baseball coming up. That was my sport, and then I
Okay.
got a feel of basketball and how fast paced and competitive it was. And I talked
Yeah.
a little bit of trash, and that fit a little better in basketball. So yeah, I pivoted to basketball in 10th grade. That's when I really started taking it serious. And I moved schools, high schools. And then, that I went from a strictly baseball school where a couple of our guys were going to the MLB and stuff like that to a basketball
Hmm.
school. And then I transitioned to that star player at that basketball school. So it really took a turn really fast for me. And I
Yeah.
kind of took
Yeah.
transition to that.
Yeah, that's great. That's the thing is that that's one thing I've noticed also, and it's happening in high schools a lot. Transferring, that it's become huge now, and it's sort
Mhm.
of created a little bit of controversy as well because it's even having it at the public school level. We're
Mhm.
just not talking about privates anymore. We're talking about
Mhm.
publics as well. I'm wondering, I want to get your take on it, like because that's not easy as well for an athlete to adapt and adjust to new school and new program, especially of course playing athletics. Wondering, what do you think about it as well, Troy?
I think it's pretty similar nowadays to college. People are bouncing
Yeah.
around. Private schools, I don't think there's as much legislation in terms of where they can go, but public schools, I
Hmm.
know you have to do if you're transferring in state and you're not moving houses,
Yeah.
you have to sit out a year or something like that, which I think is
Yeah.
ridiculous. You shouldn't hold a
Yeah.
kid's high school year. If he's 16, we're not talking about an NCAA championship. We're talking about 28 games in high school where he could be seen by coaches. Why are they
Yeah.
sitting? Doesn't make sense. So, I don't think there's a problem with them transferring. If you find, especially as a high school athlete, if you find a better opportunity, take it. The whole point of the sport's to be competitive. If a team's stacked, a team's stacked. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they offer better facilities and better education for their athletes. So that just means that'll, if we include that competitive environment transfer, that'll not only help the athletes, but it'll make the schools transform up higher in terms of their education and what they offer, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, that's true. All right, Troy, you get the final word and message here, man, for family, friends, colleagues. I really wanted, athletes, coaches, and parents out there across America and the rest of the world. I think what's the true beauty about the game of basketball? It's global now, like everywhere. Like I've been able to interview kids from Canada, South Africa, and New Zealand. I mean, I'm sure that that's something like is again is just uh, fabulous to see. But really want to give you I said the final word here. Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to first of all thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. We talk a good bit back and forth, whether it's the community or anything like that. I love picking your
Yeah,
brain and talking back and forth. I love what you're doing.
thank
Um,
you.
for all the kids, man, if you just want to take a shot at it, take a shot at it. Don't let anyone hold you back or tell you you can't. Definitely go get your dreams and start attacking it. Don't sit back and trust the process. There's no process if nothing's going on. So don't do that. If anybody needs help or anything like that, you can always reach out to me or Kevin Moses. We're at 1% Hoops on Twitter. 1%hoops.com is my page. If you want to book a call and talk, it can be about sports, it can be about recruiting. I'm pretty well versed in both, so it doesn't matter. Other than that, man, I appreciate you having me on and thank you.
Yeah, just an incredible honor and privilege being able to speak with you, Troy, and wishing you but continued success, 1% hoops, and you definitely have hit the mark, and said onto greater things, and just can't wait to see what you do, especially here in 2023.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Raj.